Hello friends, welcome back to the next video. And before we continue, let's actually double click on here and let's rename this. Let's say these are our scenario analysis. Okay, let's call it scenario analysis, that's fine. And then I press Ctrl S to save it, just to make sure that it's saved. And then I click on the plus symbol just to create a new report page here. Of course, you don't have to do that. I just like to give it a little bit cleaner when we dive into new topics. Now we'd like to explore a little bit more the time intelligence and learn what we have, or apply what we've learned so far. Let's actually find out how we can calculate the running total X day sales. And X in my case is 30 days, but of course you could use any other kind of daily interval you want to use. So let's actually explore that. Let's go with, in this case, a new measure. So I right click on my measures table and say I'd like to create a new measure. Now this measure will be simply the running total 30-day sales. So I simply name this. Let's call this running total. Of course, cumulative total would also work, but let's say running total 30-day sales is equal to. And now what I do is I simply go here and say I would like to calculate something, because I remember I need to change the filter context. No, because whatever kind of visual we use, and we will see this in a table because it's the easiest way to spot it and see it, but whatever kind of visual you use, you always have a filter context. And if you want to modify it, you need to use the calculate function. Now I know I tell this a lot, however it's really crucial to understand and to keep this in mind. So calculate, and now we need an expression. The expression will be, in my case, my total sales. I'm simply referring to this measure again, but of course you can also use any other kind of measures we have created here. So referring to this total sales number, and then I would like to choose a new context. In my case, I'm going with a filter. So filter, I want to use a table, because I want to remove the filter context from the current table we have, or the current visual we have. I'm referring to all. Remember, the all function as well as the all select function have the option to return all the rows in a table, but ignoring the context, which has been applied. Yeah. So in this case, the filter context, which is referring to the specific, row entries in the table, for instance. So I would like to see all from my dates table, the date. So this one here, the complete dates table, date. And then I say that I want to make sure that my dates table date, so the specific date column, in this case is greater than the maximum of the dates table date column. So this is kind of similar to what we have with the running total so far, right? However, it's a little bit different because we say we want to have this greater than the maximum and then minus 30. So because I want to go 30 days from the maximum value. And then at the same time, and if you want to have a second condition here, and by the way, I need to close the maximum first, so max and close parenthesis, so be careful of that. But now if I would like to have a second condition, second filter expression condition, I can use the double ampersand symbol. And then I can write another condition. So in this case, I'm referring to the dates table date one more time, this one here. And this should be less or equal to the maximum of the dates table and therefore the date again, like this. And then I can close this parenthesis, then I need to close the filter, and finally I need to close the calculate function. Now that's a lot, and of course you could also format this maybe a little bit so it looks better. There's also the so-called DAX formatter which you can use if you would like to format this measure in a way that it looks smoother, so from your case, but it's totally up to you whether you want to do that. Because if I do it this way, then of course I also, this really depends a little bit, this depends a little bit on how big is the size of the measure. So if I can put it like that, but if I now shrink it from the zoom here, it would look a little bit different, right? So maybe the DAX formatter would be a better option, but it's enough for now. The main point is to understand this measure here. So what we do is we modify the filter context. That's why we use calculate. The new filter context is the second part. So starting with filter, this will be the new filter context. We already know that all allows us to remove the context from the current visual. So instead we would like to have our complete dates table, which is referring to this one here. So we would like to have this table, but this table should be filtered. That's why we use the filter with the second expression, which is this one here. And this expression simply means that please give us all the dates between the maximum dates table, which is recurring back to our or referring back to our visual, minus 30 because we want to go back 30 days, and at the same time it should be less or equal to the maximum of the dates table date. So this makes sure that we only keep this 30-day window in basically within this filtered context which we want to apply. And let's actually explore this. Let's actually press enter just to create a measure, and then let's have a look. in my case, I'd like to see this in my dates table. So I'll go with the date. I select my date here. And because I don't want to have a bar chart, I would like to have a table. I go with the table structure. And then I also remove the, in this case, let's actually keep the day level, so because we are on a 30-day level, so that's fine. But I remove the quarter, I don't need this. And then we have it like that. Or if you do not like this, you could also right-click on the date. Remember, there's a way to, instead of using a hierarchy, you could also be on the day level itself. So if you select date here, then you would see here simply the date values here. And by the way, sorry again, these are simply the German date formats, but it's simply then Tuesday, 1st January, for instance, and so on for you, or your native language, whatever kind of language you have. Also, let me increase the size here. I go to the values just to see it better on your screens. So let me actually increase text size to, let's say, 15 again. So far, so good. Now, if we take now a look at the, here at the, let's say, start with the total sales maybe. For the visual itself, we can see those total sales numbers. So far, so good. But now we'd like to have the running total 30 days. And by the way, with the running total 30 total days, you will see that a few additional dates get also included. Because currently you see that for the total sales, we have sales on Friday, the 5th, but then on Monday, the 8th. So obviously on this, between this weekend, or between the 2 days and weekend, we didn't sell anything. This is not, this is actually taken into account for the running total sales. So, but let's actually visualize that. So there it is. Let me click it, and then of course also first format it. Formatting option here, and then also took on 2 decimal numbers. So, and now let's actually explore this visually. So if I take this running total 30-day sales, if I take this here, then I can see that now this data is aggregating. As you can see here, we start here, then we have here this number, then we can see that here these weekends are included, even though we have no sales. Of course, it's also part of the running 30 sales, right? 30-day sales. And then we can see the 5,000 and so on, which is simply then the sum of those up to including the 2,700. Then we have the next day 4,400, and this also included, and so on. But remember, this window is a 30-day sliding window. That means after 30 days, or the 31st day, that simply means that the first entry, which is in this day Thursday, is cut out, and then the new 31st day is added. So we have a sliding 30-day window. So always 30 days, it's a running total, and then if the 31st day appears, then the first day gets removed, and the 31st day gets added. And this then continues across the whole time frame we have here, right? So that's how that works. So that's it for this running total 30 days. So it's kind of similar as we have had before with the running total. So we referring to this all function, and then also remove remove the filter context, but then we have an additional, or actually 2 filter criteria for this table, which is the first one, which is greater than max minus 30 days, and then less than max, the maximum date, which is referring to the specific date in the current filter context. Now you see that you also can add multiple criteria using those double ampersand symbols. If you want to have an OR criteria, by the way, just want to mention is instead of double ampersands, you would use double pipes. So double pipes would be an OR criteria. Okay, but for now we're using double ampersand because we want to have both criteria fulfilled. So that's it for this running total 30-day sales. So just try it out yourself, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, best guys.